Yo, what is up guys, it's Ghost here, welcome back to another video. So today we've got a bit of a news roundup here. We're in day 2 of Battlefield 6's open beta, and astoundingly, the game is already breaking Guinness World Records for maximum concurrent players in a beta test. Unfortunately, along with that, and this is kind of the way things go with popular games, the cheaters have already reared their ugly heads as well. So we're going to go over all of this in the video. I've also got a known issues list directly from DICE on some of the things that may be broken or not working correctly in the build, just in case you guys encounter any of those. And then we've got some comments from the lead gameplay designer on things that may be changing in the future going forward. So if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As you guys will know by now, I'm going to be all over Battlefield 6, streaming the game a lot, playing the game a lot, making guides on it for you guys. So if that is something that interests you, make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date with that. And thank you guys, as always, for the support. So if we go and take a look at the most popular video game beta for concurrent players, and this is on the Guinness World Records website here, you'll see that it's actually Dota 2 with 329,977 people on the 18th of May 2013. However, as Mr. Torbis here on Twitter points out, Battlefield 6 actually peaked at 334,549, just edging Dota out by about 5,000 players. So if I'm understanding this correctly, then surely Battlefield 6's beta is the new holder of that Guinness World Record, which is honestly pretty insane. Now, unfortunately, as we all know far too well in gaming, whenever there's a popular game out there, it attracts a lot of people who enjoy games, but it also attracts people who like to cheat at games. And the more popular the game, the more lucrative creating cheats and selling them to players is going to be. And unfortunately, we have already seen working cheats of ESP in Battlefield 6's beta. So this was posted online by It's Happer on X. And as you can see, there's full ESP going on there, so that stands for extra sensory perception, and you can tell it shows you where everybody is in the game, it's wall hacks, it shows you their names, it shows you their HP, and I would actually say this looks strikingly similar to other cheats that I've seen for Battlefield 2042. For any of you who watched my videos, probably more than a year ago now, where I really delved into the world of cheating a little bit for Battlefield 2042, this looks like it was made by the exact same developer. And after all, it's a Battlefield game. I actually ended up doing an interview with one of these cheat developers, and he told me that he has such an understanding of the way that Battlefield games work and the back end at DICE and all that stuff, that it wouldn't really be much of a stretch for him to get a new cheat going whenever the new game arrives, and so it really wouldn't surprise me if this is exactly what we're seeing here. Now, we all know that DICE have made us enable secure boot for the game. This is a new countermeasure to basically stop cheaters from being able to run them on machines where I think they aren't running on the operating system, but instead they're running sort of at the hardware level. I'm not supposed to combat that. But evidently here, whatever countermeasures they are using, they're not enough, because we're seeing somebody using cheats already. Now, I do know that countering cheaters, it's this never-ending game of cat and mouse. People are always going to cheat. They're always going to find new ways to outwit the anti-cheat developers at EA or whatever company, and then the anti-cheat developers in turn have to find new ways of outwitting the cheaters, and this is just going to be like an ongoing cycle. But we've seen it with Warzone, right? There are so many cheaters in that game, and I think it's really pushed to stop a lot of people from playing it, and I just really hope we don't see the same thing happen to Battlefield 6, because it's obviously going to be a really, really popular game. But what can you do, eh? Hopefully the anti-cheat team know what they're doing, and it's not going to be too much of a rampant problem. I honestly just wish they could actually find these companies and shut them down, because you can find them online. Like, if you Google them, you find their website addresses. Like, why can't EA just file a lawsuit against them and say, hey, we're shutting you down? Apparently that's not allowed, because oftentimes they're companies in the EU, and for EA, as an American company, they just don't have any jurisdiction there, so it's a bit of a catch-22, but I don't know. It is what it is. Now, for anyone who's encountered issues playing the beta at the moment, because it's not perfect, it's really, really great. You know, you guys may have seen my first impressions video yesterday, but it's certainly not perfect. There are some bugs in there are some crashes, but it seems like the Battlefield team are on top of these, and the communication account here says, our team has been investigating reports of an infinite loading screen sometimes occurring when matchmaking into Siege of Cairo while playing Conquest. We've identified the cause and are performing server restarts to resolve this. Those restarts will not affect players currently in match. So I've definitely had this happen to me, along with another of other sort of strange matchmaking issues. Sometimes I'll just end up in like an endless loop, or the UI disappears, and I have to sort of manually quit back to the main menu. Sometimes I need to restart the game. Like, it's obviously not going to be perfect, it's a beta, and that's fine, but it's good to hear that the team are working on these issues. And likewise here, here's another one. It says, Early Access Open Beta. We're currently investigating an issue causing players being unable to log in, start a game, or receive an error message about early access being unavailable. The team is working on it. Now, I know this was pretty prevalent yesterday. I'm not sure if it's still an issue today, but some people were saying they had the early access and they would log into the game and then see an error message that they didn't have the early access. And the reason for that, I think, is because the servers were just so hammered, so overloaded, that the authentication wasn't there to actually say, oh yes, you do have the early access, and so it automatically flagged that you didn't have it. But I'm pretty sure that one's been resolved now. And then we also have a long litany of known issues here on the known issues list, so I just wanted to highlight this for anybody who's gotten into some weird bugs or something in the game. Maybe go and give this list a look. These are things that the team know about, things that they are working on. So for soldiers, there is like a bunch of these. I'm going to put them on screen for you guys so you can pause it at any time and you know, have a look through all of them. I won't read them all out, but some of the more interesting ones is that the player is currently unable to ping or spot people whilst in any vehicle. So obviously that's like something that I noticed flying around in the jets, and good to know that they're working on that. As for weapons and gadgets, all barrel slot attachments have placeholder descriptions, as do the machine gun weapons. And then a little note here on weapon recoil in the beta. They say early access and open beta use the same build as the multiplayer reveal event, and we want to acknowledge that we're aware of some of the feedback around weapon recoil patterns. While not present within the open beta, a series of balance passes has already taken place around weapon recoil. However, they were not able to be included in the open beta build in time. The team is consistently paying attention to feedback around all things weapons and will continue to keep players updated at a later point about more details specific to weapon balancing and gameplay. So for those of you who aren't aware, in the reveal event, a lot of people started throwing up videos showing guns in the gun range, and like they really didn't have any recoil at all. People weren't even, you know, moving their thumbstick or moving their mouse, and the weapons were pretty much laser beams. So I think that's what they're referring to here. They're going to do a pass on the recoil for all of the weapons and probably increase that wherever it needs it. So here are some of the issues with the UI, and I'd say the main one you need to be aware of is that the ability to bind crouch to a different key away from C is currently not functioning as intended. Even if you rebound a different key, C will still function as crouch, and I've definitely encountered this one before. So basically some of the key bindings here, like, you know, they're not going to be working properly. Also, out of bounds elements for air vehicles, so the diagonal stripes, are not present on the capstone map. It's actually not called Capstone, though. I think they messed up there because they're using the old name. That is the one in Tajikistan up in the mountains. I don't blame them, though. I can never remember the name of that map either. Now, for anybody on PlayStation 5, they also say here, upon loading the open beta on PlayStation 5, some users may experience an ID options modify screen. This is due to a language not being the same as intended for this open beta version, and they advise that you do the following here to fix that. So you got to delete, unfortunately, the game, delete your saved data, change the console language to English, and then freshly install the open beta, and hopefully that should be a fix for you. There's also a bit of crash awareness here, so they say players may experience a crash on the splash screen which states D3D12 create device failed, and here are the instructions on the screen if that is you and you need to fix that. Now, just to round this video out, a couple of comments here from Florian, the lead designer on the game. So this one is about suppression. So for those of you who don't know, suppression in Battlefield 6 actually delays your health regen. And this guy clearly thinks that's been the case for the past 14 years, but Florian comes in here and corrects him, and he says that has not always been a thing. No, in Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 5, it didn't do that if memory serves me well. This is pretty much the only meaningful thing that suppression does in Battlefield 6, and you can easily play around it. Play the beta and experience it, give feedback, and we'll be reading. Now, I know a lot of people kicked up a fuss on Twitter the other day when they heard about this, and I have to say, I didn't really like the sound of it either when I heard, but after having played the beta, I can say it just didn't really affect me. Like, I didn't really notice it happening. And so I think it's just kind of like, it just doesn't really matter to me. Maybe it does to some of you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, on the topic of scope glints, you guys will have probably noticed that scope glint in the game is quite obvious here. And he does say, yes, it'll get toned down in scale a bit, but it's here to stay. And also, the bullet trail is getting toned down as well. So the bullet trail is like when you fire your round, you'll see like a smoke trail from the round, and it sort of often obscures what you're shooting at. You can't exactly tell where the round landed, which is really difficult for a sniper because you need to know at that range how much drop do you have to account for. So nice to see that they are going to look into that one. And then finally, I know I said finally before, but this is the proper final, guys. DICE are doing this new thing called Battlefield Destruction Receipts. So what you can do is play the open beta, blow something up in it, and then you post your destruction gameplay on X with the hashtag BF6 receipts, tag @Battlefield in it, and they will then give you one of these receipts, which essentially seems to tell you like how much damage you've done with the vehicles, like how much damage you've done to particular buildings in the game and stuff like that. And there is actually a leaderboard for this, so if that's something that interests you guys, then there you go. I will link it down below, and we can see at the moment 2 Angry Gamers are in 3rd place. So there you go, guys, a bit of a roundup for you guys today. Let me know how you're getting on in the beta. Are you having fun? There's going to be plenty more videos to come on that. I've got a lot planned here on the channel, not just for the beta, but for the full release of the game. I'm going to be streaming today, so if you guys want to come by the Twitch channel and you don't have early access yet, feel free to do that. You'll be able to get yourself a drop there by watching for 30 minutes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6, and I will see you all in the next video.